All right, so section 2.3D sub 2, I guess you could say, because remember, this was supposed to be one lesson, right? 2.3D, we were supposed to do perpendicular and parallel lines, but over the years, we've noticed that when we teach students both, there's a lot of confusion. Like people get confused, like which one is this the one where the slopes are the same, or is this the one where the slopes are not the same? So we taught you guys parallel lines already. Parallel lines, by definition, are two lines that have the same slope. Okay, so two lines that have the same slope. Perpendicular lines are different. Okay, so perpendicular lines. So these are two lines whose slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other. So it's two lines whose slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other. So the word opposite means to change the sign. So if I had a positive 2, then the opposite of a positive 2 is a negative 2. Right? If I had a negative half, then the opposite is a positive half. Okay? That's all opposite means, is change the sign. Reciprocal means flip the number over. Flip the number over. So a half becomes a 2. A 3 becomes a 1/3. A 3/5 becomes a 5/3, right? Just flipping it. So whenever you're trying to find perpendicular lines, you're going to find a slope, okay, whatever the slope happens to be. You're going to change its sign, and you're going to flip it over, okay? And then that's your perpendicular slope. So let me just show you a little bit of that before we get into doing some examples. But really quick, some quick notation, in case you see me writing it like this. So notation. Now, we didn't talk about this last time, but two vertical lines, this right here means parallel. So sometimes you'll see teachers write parallel slope like this. Not slope 11, but parallel slope, like two little, like it looks like an 11, right? The two L's next to each other. So you might see that. That means parallel slope, okay? This means perpendicular. And the reason why we use that as perpendicular, it's because, let me kind of zoom in real quick. It's supposed to resemble a 90-degree angle, and perpendicular lines cross each other at 90-degree angles, perfect 90 degrees. So we don't normally draw that little box there, okay? We just use like an upside down uppercase T, right? That's all we do, an upside down capital T. And that means perpendicular, okay? But the picture is basically signifying here's a line that crosses it at 90 degrees. And that's why that we use that symbol, okay? And we'll always use that little symbol whenever we're talking about perpendicular slope. So slope perpendicular. All right, so we have parallel slope, so M with the little L's next to it, and then perpendicular slope, that's M with an upside down capital T. Okay, so let me just go over a couple little things with you guys, then we're going to do some of the examples, but just some, I guess some practice really quick. So practice. Find the perpendicular slope. Okay, so find the perpendicular slope. So if for part A, I tell you that my slope is 2/3, what is my perpendicular slope if you're supposed to find the opposite reciprocal? 3/2 would be my reciprocal. What's my opposite? Huh? Negative, right? Remember, opposite reciprocal means change the sign. Reciprocal means flip the number. So it would be -3/2. Okay, so let's try another one. What if my slope is a -1/4? What is my perpendicular slope? 4/1, or just 4, right? Just 4, or 4/1. Why? Because I took the opposite. That means that the negative sign goes away. And then I flipped it over. It became 4/1, which is just 4, right? We'll do one more and then we'll get into these problems here. What if I give you this? Let's say, what is my perpendicular slope? Negative what? 3/5. Good. -3/5. Because my original slope is 5/3. So the opposite of positive 5/3 is negative. And then the reciprocal of 5/3 is 3/5, right? So -3/5. So this is what finding perpendicular slopes is like. So yesterday, all of your answers, or not yesterday, but on, what was it, Monday, if I would have said, what's the parallel slope to part A, you would say 2/3. What's the parallel slope to part B? You would give me a -1/4, right? And the parallel slope for part C would be 5/3, because it has to be the same slope. But perpendicular means that you got to flip it over and change its sign, okay? So that's what we did right there. So let's get into some of these homework problems for you guys. So example number 1. So they're going to ask you to determine if these are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Neither meaning it's obviously not parallel and it's not perpendicular, so it's none of those, right? So we'll start off with what they would consider an easy problem. I don't know if you would consider it, but we'll start off with one that they say is easy. Now, I think this is a little tougher because you can't really find the slopes of these things. But can you remember what these lines look like? Like, what is x equal to 4? What kind of line is x equal to 4? Anybody remember? Not horizontal. Vertical. X equal to 4 is a vertical line. Now, I'm going to just graph it real quick for us, okay? Just that way we can see it. Now, I'm not going to put a scale on this graph, okay? I'm just going to kind of resemble the graph a bit. Or maybe I guess I could. I can go by 2s. I just don't want to make a really big graph. But if I were to graph x equal to 4, it's going to look like this. Okay? What does y equal to -2 look like? It's horizontal at -2, right? So, right here. Are these lines parallel? No. Are they perpendicular? Do they cross each other, like almost making a perfect, like, plus sign, I guess you could say? Yeah, it looks like there's a 90-degree angle right there. So that means these lines have to be perpendicular. Now remember, I told you, they call these simple problems, but to me, these have always been a little harder because I can't actually see the slopes. They don't let me see the slopes. I mean, I know y has a slope of 0, that's why it's flat, but yeah, it's just kind of weird. So I draw it. So there you go, you can see a picture of it. So they do have to be perpendicular. If they're crossing each other like a T kind of, right, they're going to be perpendicular. Now, if they cross each other like this, that's not perpendicular. They're not 90-degree angles in between. Okay, those are like maybe like 60 to 70 degrees in between or something like that. So not perpendicular for that. So if there was a question that you graphed it like that, it would be neither, right? But the whole point of this lesson is not that you have to graph. Like this, you didn't have to graph. You were just supposed to think, well, one's this way, the other one's this way. So they're going to cross each other like this, right? So that means they're perpendicular. They're not parallel, right? They're going right into each other. So again, that's going to be one question on your homework. Okay. Here's another question on your homework. 8x plus 32y equals 64. And the other one is 12x minus 3y equals 9. So we're going to have to get both equations, and we're going to have to solve for y, right? Because we got to figure out their slopes, and the best way to find their slopes is to get it in slope-intercept form, right? Y equals mx plus b. So my m value. So let's find it. So I got 8x plus 32y equals 64. And then to the right of that, I'm going to write the other one, 12x minus 3y equals 9. All right. So let me subtract 8x on both sides. For the first equation. Sorry, I didn't tell you which one I was going to do that for. But for the first equation. So when I do that, I'm going to get 32y by itself equal to negative 8x plus 64. What should I do next? Divide, right? Yeah, so let's divide by 32. And again, this is where your calculator might come in handy for some of you guys, or if you just want to do it in your head, that's fine. So I get y equal to negative 1/4 x plus 2. So this slope right here, I'm going to write negative 1/4. So what should my other slope be in order for me to have a perpendicular slope? It has to be a 4, okay? It has to be a 4. If it's not a 4, then it's not perpendicular. What if my other slope is a negative 1/4? What do I say? Parallel, right? Because they're the same. If my other slope is a negative 4, neither. Okay? Because my only options for parallel, it has to be negative 1/4. For perpendicular, it has to be a 4. Anything else is a neither answer. So let's see what happens here. Let's move the 12x over. So minus 12x. So I get negative 3y is equal to negative 12x plus 9. Okay. Next step, division. Right? Let's divide by negative 3. So y is equal to 4x minus 3. This slope is a 4. So what do I say about these lines? Are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Perpendicular. These are perpendicular. Because the slope of one is negative 1/4. If I flip that over and make it positive, I get 4, which is exactly what my other slope was. So these are perpendicular. So I don't know if you guys see why we split up the lessons, because we didn't want you guys to be thinking like, is it this one, or that one, right? All in the first time. We just wanted you to focus on parallel, right? Same slope. And now we'll introduce the other one, and you already should know parallel, so perpendicular is just a little extra piece we add on to. So, any questions on this one? This one we actually had to kind of go through and do some work for it. What about one more, and then we're going to jump over to the other part. So the homework for this lesson is a lot like the homework from the last lesson, where they gave you 4 problems where you just had to judge whether or not they were parallel. And then they gave you 6 problems where they say, okay, it has to pass through this point and be perpendicular. So kind of like yesterday's last question on your quiz, right? Go through a point, it has to be parallel. This one's just going to say perpendicular. All right? So let me show you one of those, and then we'll move on. So let's say you have y equal to 2x minus 3, and we'll have 8x minus 2y equals to 10. So again, we're still checking parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay? So my first equation, y equals 2x minus 3, is already solved. So y equals 2x minus 3. I know my slope is 2. So if my other equation is going to be parallel, the slope has to be 2. If my other equation is going to be perpendicular, the slope should be what? Negative 1/2. Yeah, I'm looking for negative half. If it's not one of those, if it's not a 2 and if it's not a negative half, then it's a neither. Okay? So let's solve the next one. 8x minus 2y equals 10. Let's subtract 8x. So we get negative 2y is equal to negative 8x plus 10. My last step here is to divide by negative 2. So y is equal to 4x minus 5. So the slope for this is 4. So yeah, parallel, perpendicular, or neither, as you said, neither. Okay? If it was parallel, they should both be 2 or they should both be 4. If it's perpendicular, then if the slope is 2, this one should be negative half. Or if my slope was 4, it should be a negative 1/4. None of those came out. So this is a neither. If they would have matched, parallel. Okay? Are we okay with this? Just kind of figure stuff out? So hopefully good. All right, so here we go. We're going to do 2 of these and then we're done. These are example number 2. Write the slope-intercept form. Remember, y equals to mx plus b is a very important equation. Okay, don't forget it. Slope-intercept form pops up all the time. Of the equation of the line. Described. So I'm going to put 1 right now just to kind of get us started. It's going to go through negative 1, 0. And I'm going to say perpendicular. You're going to notice they're going to say perp in your homework. So I'm going to write the way they do it in the homework. Okay? Perp to y equal to negative 1/4 x plus 5. Let me move this up. Freeze it really quick. But go ahead and write that down. I'm just checking something really quick on one of my other equations here. I just want to see if I can find something for you guys. No, it's not here. Oh, yeah, it is. So let me show you something real quick, okay? Right now, I'll go back to this problem. So this is a question from calculus, okay? You guys do not have to write this down. Don't worry about it. Find the slope of a tangent line for a function f of t equals 1 over t at the point 2, 1/2, right? So you can see us working through all the work, etc. We went all the way through it, and look what pops up at the very end. Y equals mx plus b. Again, this is calculus, okay? Very important equation. When I tell you don't forget it, I mean it. Don't forget it, because that equation never goes away, okay? So make sure you memorize y equals mx plus b. All right, so anyway, we have this problem here. They want me to write the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, right, of the equation described. Now, it says it has to be perpendicular, okay? What is the slope that is there right now? Negative 1/4. So what is the perpendicular slope? 4, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write my perpendicular slope. This is the one that I need, okay? Not the negative 1/4. If I use the negative 1/4, I'm finding the parallel line. I want a perpendicular line. So slope is 4, okay? That's the one I'm looking for. Now, I'm going to start writing my problem. Y equals mx plus b. And I know that my slope has to be 4, so I'm going to put that there. 4x plus b. And according to what we've been doing in the past, we get our point, negative 1, 0, and we plug it into our equation, right? So I'm going to plug in 0 equals 4 times negative 1 plus b. So 0 equals negative 4 plus b. And we'll just move the negative 4 over to the other side by adding it. So b is 4. I have my b value. I have my perpendicular slope. So let's just write the answer. Y equals 4x plus 4. And there you go. Notice it's not very different from what you guys already learned, right? The only difference is that the slope is not the same as the other one. This one's opposite reciprocal, right? Change the sign, flip it. Okay? So we'll do one more of these this was on your homework. We'll do one more that possibly looks a little difficult. So let's look at this one here. But they're all pretty much about the same in difficulty. It's going to go through 2, negative 3, and it's perpendicular to y equal to 2/5 x plus 4. So it's going through the point 2, negative 3, perpendicular to y equal to 2/5 x plus 4. And after this, we're done. I'll give you guys a homework. You only have 10 questions, just like you did in the other assignment with parallel lines. Let's give you a couple more seconds, and then we'll get going. All right, so what is my slope of this equation right now? The actual slope? 2/5. So what's my perpendicular slope then? All right, negative 5 over 2. This is what I want, okay? This is what I want. The perpendicular slope. If they would have said parallel, I use the one on top, okay? But they want perpendicular, so I'm going to use the one that's flipped and opposite side. Now I'm going to start again with my original equation, y equals mx plus b. Okay, and plug in my slope. So y equals to negative 5/2 x plus b. And now I'll plug in my point, 2, negative 3. Okay, 2, negative 3, that's xy. So negative 3 equals negative 5/2 times 2 plus b. Now, negative 5 halves times 2, the 2's will cancel because 2 divided by 2. 2 is a numerator problem, right? And then the 2 on the bottom is a denominator. So it's like 2 over 2. These are just going to cancel. All right? Or just use your calculator. That's fine. So we end up with negative 3 is equal to negative 5 plus b. So if we add 5 to both sides, we'll be able to find our b value. So plus 5, we get 2 equals b. And here you go. There's my b value. And there's my m value, right? My perpendicular slope. So get those two pieces, put them together into one equation. So y equals negative 5 halves x plus 2. And that's what you guys have for homework today.